it's time for some exercises with filters. For the first exercise, please implement a filter named UW first, which transforms the first character of each word to uppercase. You can use JavaScript's split function to split the value into words. Then use this filter within the Rebind directive's expression so that when you hover your mouse over the paragraph, we see a title with capitalized words. As for the second exercise, take the filter from the first exercise and apply it to the string interpolation within the paragraph. Then implement a new filter which removes any spaces and chain these two filters together. Best of luck solving these exercises, and I'll be back in a moment with my solutions. Alright, I hope it went well for you. Here are my solutions. As for the first exercise, let's begin by implementing the filter. So I'll add the filters object as we did in the previous lecture. And as for the key, we'll say UW first as the name of the filter and a function with one parameter, which is the value to transform. And I'll just begin by checking if there's no value, return an empty string as we did in the previous lecture as well. And now I want to split the value into words. So I'll first convert the value to a string, and then I'll use JavaScript's split method with a space. So I'm splitting by space, and I'll store this in a variable named parts. So this is going to give me an array of strings. Then I can use the map function on this array. So parts.map, which takes a function. And we've actually used this method before in a previous lecture. And this function is going to be invoked for each element within the array. And the value I return within this function is going to be added to the array that's returned by the map method. So in here I'll say return word.char at index 0. So the first character, I'll convert that one to uppercase, plus word.slice at index 1 and the rest of the string. So essentially we're just converting the first character to uppercase and leaving the rest as is, exactly as we did in the previous lecture. So the result of this is going to be an array of uppercased words. So the only thing I need to do now is to join these words together by space. So I can say uppercased words dot join and a space. So now we're just gluing these array elements back together into a string. To use the filter within the Rebind directive, we can simply do as we saw in the previous lecture. Using filters with the Rebind directive is therefore no different than with string interpolation. So we just need to add a pipe here and the name of the filter, which is UW first, like that. So let's try to hover the mouse over the paragraph and see that it works. And as you can see, the words have been capitalized. As for exercise number 2, let's first implement a filter to remove any spaces within the value. And I will name this filter remove spaces. And as before, let's just start by checking for empty values. And removing spaces is pretty simple. There are more ways you can do it, but I'm just going to first convert the value to a string, and then I'm going to use the replace method. And in here I'm going to use a regular expression. So I'm going to add 2 slashes to denote the expression, and I'm going to match spaces. And to make sure I'm not just replacing the first space, I'm going to use the global flag here. And the replacement value is just going to be an empty string. As for the template, let's begin by first applying the UW first filter from the first exercise. Then to add an additional filter, we simply use the same approach as before and add a pipe, followed by the name of the filter, in this case, remove spaces. In this way, the filters are chained and the message is first passed through the UW first filter and lastly the remove spaces filter. If we take a look at the right hand side of the screen, we can see that both of the words have been capitalized and that the space has been removed. That's it. Now that we know how to use filters, let's move on to learning about styling elements with CSS.